Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a real question. Why is it that some people seem to attract money like a magnet, while others work themselves to the bone and barely make it? Is it luck? Family money? Some secret handshake at the country club? Nah, let me tell you the truth. Being rich is not a mystery. It's a formula. It's a science. And once you understand it, you can't unsee it. You'll start noticing how the rich think, how they move, how they make decisions, and it'll change the way you live. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying it's simple. There's a pattern to wealth, and most people miss it, not because they're lazy or dumb, but because they were never taught it. You were taught to get a job, play it safe, retire at 65, and hope for a little peace. But rich people, they play a whole different game, and they play it with strategy. This speech right here about flipping that switch in your mind, it's about showing you that the rich life, the one with freedom, choices, security, and peace, it's not just for them, it's for you if you're willing to understand the science. Because let me tell you, when you get this right, when you get your money mindset aligned with action, you stop chasing wealth and start attracting it. So don't just sit back and listen, lock in. Because by the end of this speech, you're going to know exactly why rich people keep getting richer and how you can start applying the same principles to your life starting today. Let's get into it. Being rich doesn't start with a job. It doesn't start with a business. It doesn't even start with money in your hand. It starts in your mind. If your mindset is poor, your bank account will follow. You can win the lottery today and still be broke again in 5 years. Why? Because if you still think broke, you'll live broke no matter how much money comes your way. The real truth is this: your thoughts shape your life, especially when it comes to money. Let's be honest. Most of us were raised with the wrong ideas about money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. You gotta work hard all your life to retire. Sound familiar? Those little phrases get buried deep in your head, and before you know it, you've built your whole life on limitation. But if you want to be rich, you've got to throw those lies out. You have to reprogram your thinking, because as long as you believe money is hard to get, or that being rich is for other people, you'll never give yourself permission to actually go get it. Rich people don't just have money, they have belief. They walk into a room like they belong there. They don't apologize for wanting more. They don't shrink down when it's time to ask for what they're worth. And that mindset didn't come from having money. That mindset attracted the money. That's the difference. Poor mindset says, I can't afford that. Rich mindset says, how can I afford that? Poor mindset says, that's impossible for someone like me. Rich mindset says, if someone else can do it, I can figure it out too. Here's the thing, if you want to live rich, you've got to think rich before the money shows up. That means believing in your value, believing in your ideas, and believing that you have every right to build a life of wealth, even if you're broke today. Rich isn't about what's in your wallet. It's about what's in your mind. If your self-image is small, your results will be small. If you walk around telling yourself you're always going to struggle, guess what? You're going to prove yourself right every time. Your thoughts are the blueprint. Every rich person starts with a vision, not a guarantee, not a perfect plan, just a bold, clear vision of the life they want. And they build from that. That's how you have to move. When your mind is focused on abundance, on growth, on possibility, you start seeing opportunities you never noticed before. You start taking action. You start creating. And that energy is magnetic. People feel it. Money flows to it. But here's the hard part. This mindset shift, it's daily work. You can't just say, I'm going to be rich, once and expect your whole life to change. You've got to fight off every old belief that tries to pull you back into doubt. You've got to check yourself every time you catch that voice saying, "Who do you think you are?" And you've got to answer it boldly. I'm someone who's done being broke. That's who I am. You have to train your mind like you train your body every day. Read books that stretch your thinking. Hang around people who talk about ideas instead of problems. Speak life over your goals. Stop saying, "someday," and start saying, "I'm on my way." That shift right there is where the science of being rich begins. Not in the numbers, not in the paycheck, but in the decision to think like someone who's already wealthy. Because here's what they don't teach in school: rich people aren't special. They're just intentional. They wake up with a purpose. They move like they're supposed to win, and that belief, that mental clarity, that's what makes the money come. It's not ego, it's not arrogance, it's alignment. And you can do the same thing if you're bold enough to start thinking different. So the first and most important step in this journey isn't out there in the world. It's right here in your own head. You want to be rich. Then you've got to believe it, speak it, and think it before you see it. That's the foundation. That's the science. And once you get your mind right, your money will follow. Every single time. If you want to be rich, stop asking, "How can I make money?" And start asking, "How can I give value?" Because money doesn't follow effort. It follows impact. The people who get paid the most in this world are not the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who solve the biggest problems, help the most people, or create the most demand around what they do. It's not about how many hours you work. It's about how valuable those hours are. Think about it like this. A janitor can work 12-hour days cleaning a building and get paid minimum wage. Meanwhile, the person who designed the building, who maybe spent a month drawing blueprints, makes 6 figures. Why? Because the architect created value at a high level. It's not about who sweats more. It's about who solves bigger problems and brings more value to the table. Value is not about your job title. It's about what you bring to the world that others want, need, or benefit from. You can be a barber, a teacher, a mechanic, or an artist and still become rich. But you've got to figure out how to make your work valuable to more people, solve bigger problems, or do something so well that people choose you over anyone else. That's value. That's the new currency. Now let me break something down for you. A lot of people say, "I want to be rich," but they're not thinking about what they're giving. They're only thinking about what they're going to get. And that's backwards. Wealth is a result, not a goal. If you chase money, it runs from you. But if you chase value, if you focus on improving, serving, solving, and contributing, the money will chase you. That's not hype, that's the truth. Let's say you're selling something. Maybe it's a service, a product, or even your skills in a job interview. If you can clearly show the other person how what you offer makes their life easier, their business stronger, or their goals closer, they'll pay for it. Not because they feel sorry for you, but because you gave them something valuable. And if you can do that for one person, you can do it for 10, then 100, then 1,000. That's how wealth grows. Look at every rich person and trace back their money. You'll find value at the core. Jeff Bezos didn't get rich because he started a website. He got rich because he made it easier for people to buy anything they wanted without leaving their house. Oprah didn't get rich because she was just on TV. She gave people connection, healing, and powerful stories. Elon Musk didn't get rich just from selling cars. He brought value through innovation, through belief in the impossible. That's value multiplied. But here's the key. You have to be intentional about creating value. You have to wake up every day asking yourself, what can I improve? What can I build? What can I give that makes someone else's life better? That mindset right there, that's a gold mine. Because when you commit to growth, when you commit to being better, sharper, smarter, more helpful, more skilled, your value goes up. And when your value goes up, so does your income. Now, let's get real. Some people will say, but I'm not special. I don't have anything valuable. That's a lie. Everybody has something. You might be good with people. You might be creative. You might be organized. You might know how to fix things, motivate others, or think differently. That's value, and someone out there needs it. The key is to develop it, strengthen it, put it out into the world. Don't wait for someone to hand you value. Build it. Money is just a reward for the value you've put into the marketplace. That's all it is. So instead of saying, I want to be rich, start saying, I want to be valuable. Ask yourself, what problems do people have that I can help solve? Get curious. Pay attention. Listen. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just bring a better version of what already exists, or bring your unique twist to something common. At the end of the day, the people who win are the ones who focus less on chasing money and more on becoming the kind of person money chases. And that happens when you understand this one simple law: value first, money second. Make it your mission to increase your value every day, and I guarantee the wealth will follow. That's not theory, that's science. The science of being rich. Getting rich isn't magic. It's not about luck or a lottery ticket or having some secret door open just for you. It's about following a system. See, too many people try to reinvent the wheel when the truth is, success leaves clues. You don't have to guess how to become successful. You just have to find someone who's already done it and study their moves. Copy the system, follow the steps, apply the mindset, and the results will show up. Most people struggle not because they aren't capable, but because they're trying to figure it all out by themselves. They're grinding in the dark, chasing ideas without a clear path, hoping something works. But that's not how wealthy people move. Rich people don't guess. They research, they observe. They model proven systems. They ask themselves, who already has what I want, and what did they do to get it? Then they study, apply, and refine over and over. Let's take an example. You want to get into real estate. Don't just start buying property without a plan. Go find someone who's made money in real estate. Study their process. What did they look for? How did they negotiate? What mistakes did they avoid? They already built the map. Now you just need to follow it. And the beautiful thing is, we live in a world where these systems are more available than ever. You can learn anything online. You can watch interviews, read books, take courses, join communities. The information is there if you're hungry enough to go get it. See, there's a science to success, and rich people treat it like one. They know there's a formula behind wealth, and they stay disciplined to that formula. It might be business, it might be investing, it might be content creation, tech, branding, you name it. But every wealthy person has a system they trust, and they stick to it. They're not jumping from trend to trend. They're not chasing shortcuts. They're following a pattern that works, and they're doubling down on it. And here's the thing most folks miss. When you find a system that works, you don't have to be a genius. You just have to be consistent. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most committed to the process. That's it. Success doesn't come from doing something once and hoping it blows up. It comes from doing the right thing over and over again until the results start stacking up. Now, some people hear system and they think that means boring. But let me tell you, freedom is on the other side of systems. When you know what works and you do it with intention, you stop guessing, you stop stressing, you stop wasting time, and that opens the door for you to scale, to build, to grow, to free up your time and multiply your results. Systems aren't chains. They're the blueprint to freedom. The truth is, success is more repeatable than people think. But most folks are too busy looking for a shortcut to notice that the long road, the one with the map, the one with steps, the one proven by others, actually gets you there faster. When you try to do it all your way from scratch, you waste years making mistakes that could have been avoided by simply learning from someone else's journey. But make no mistake, copying a system doesn't mean copying someone's identity. You still have to bring your voice, your work ethic, your fire to the process. You've got to put you in it. But you don't have to guess the structure. You don't have to create success from thin air. It's already been done. The question is, are you disciplined enough to follow through? So if you're serious about building wealth, stop winging it. Stop waiting for a perfect idea or the stars to align. Go find a model that works. Get around winners. Learn from mentors, even if it's just through books and videos. Watch how they move. Study how they think. Pay attention to how they solve problems. Then build your own version of that system. One that fits your skills, your goals, and your life. Getting rich isn't just about working hard. It's about working smart. And working smart means following a proven path, because success is not random. It's a process, and once you respect the system starts working for you. That's how you turn effort into income. That's how you go from surviving to thriving. That's how you stop chasing and start creating real, lasting wealth. People think money is the goal, but that's where they get it wrong. Money isn't the destination. It's the result. It's the reward. It's what shows up after you've committed to something bigger than yourself. If you want to get rich, stop chasing money and start chasing purpose. Because when you walk in your purpose, money starts to chase you. See, most folks wake up every day asking, how can I make more money? But the real question you should be asking is, what am I here to do? Because your purpose, that thing you were born to do, is where your wealth lies. You don't get rich doing things that drain your soul. You get rich doing things that pull the best out of you. Things that make people say, that's the person I need. That's the one who can help me. Purpose gives you direction. It gives your life clarity. When you know your purpose, you don't waste time. You don't chase every shiny object. You don't jump on every trend. You stay grounded. You stay focused. You start to build something real, and real wealth comes from building something that lasts. People who make fast money without purpose lose it just as fast. But people who build with purpose, they create legacy. Now I know what some people are thinking, but I don't know my purpose. Let me tell you something. Purpose isn't always loud. It doesn't always hit you like a lightning bolt. Sometimes purpose whispers. It shows up in your gifts, your passions, the problems you love to solve, the things that make you feel alive. It shows up when you help somebody and realize, wow, I'm really good at this. I could do this forever. That's the seed of purpose. When you live in purpose, something shifts. You start showing up differently. You get excited to work. You push through hard days because you know it matters. People feel your energy. They feel your conviction. And that's attractive. That's powerful. People want to support someone who's on fire for what they believe in. And when people believe in you, they invest in you. They buy from you. They hire you. They tell others about you. That's how wealth starts flowing. Money follows purpose because purpose leads to service. When you're walking in your purpose, you're not just working, you're serving. You're giving people something that's meaningful. You're solving problems. You're making lives better. And let me tell you, people pay for solutions. People pay for impact. That's why the richest people in the world are also the most purpose-driven. They've tapped into something deeper, something that goes beyond the check. And here's the best part. When you chase purpose, you get peace and profit. You get fulfillment and finances. You don't have to trade your soul to get rich. You don't have to become someone else. You just have to become more of who you really are. The world pays you for being authentic, consistent, and valuable, but that only happens when you're aligned with your purpose. Some people chase money for decades and still feel empty. Why? Because they never took the time to figure out what matters to them. They keep trying to fill a purpose-sized hole with a paycheck, and it never works. But when you flip the switch and start moving with intention, when you start building something that means something to you, you stop being desperate for money. You start attracting it. Now, don't get it twisted. Purpose doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean there won't be struggle. But when you're living on purpose, the struggle feels worth it. It builds you instead of breaking you. You wake up with fire in your belly, even on the hard days. That's what gives you staying power. And that's what creates long-term wealth. So if you want to be rich, truly rich, find your purpose and go all in. Don't just work for money. Work for meaning. Build something that matters. Focus on serving others, solving real problems, and showing up with excellence every single day. Because when you do that, the money has no choice but to follow. Not because you chased it, but because you became the kind of person it chases. That's the truth. That's how you shift from surviving to thriving. That's the science of being rich. Let me be real with you. Playing it safe has never made anyone rich, ever. Comfort zones are where dreams go to die. If you're out here trying to protect every dollar, avoid every risk, dodge every failure, you're not building wealth. You're building a prison, a safe one, sure, but a prison all the same, because nothing grows where fear is in control. And money, real money, it grows in movement, in boldness, in decision. You gotta understand something. Wealth is built by people who take chances. People who bet on themselves. People who say, I don't know exactly how this is gonna work, but I'm stepping out anyway. It's not recklessness. It's faith with action. You can't tiptoe into success. You gotta jump. You gotta stretch. You gotta do things that scare you, that make you uncomfortable, that challenge every excuse you've ever told yourself. See, the average person is trained to avoid loss at all costs. That's why they never gain anything. They hold on tight to what little they've got, hoping not to lose it, instead of reaching for more. They think small, so they live small. But wealth is on the other side of risk. Always has been, always will be. And no, I'm not talking about gambling your life away or jumping into something blindly. I'm talking about calculated risk, smart risk. The kind of risk that comes with research preparation and then the courage to move. You can study forever, but until you actually take that step, nothing changes. And people around you might not get it. They might call you crazy. They'll say, why would you leave that steady job? Or you really think you can pull this off? But that's when you know you're on to something. If your dream doesn't scare you or shake up your circle, it's too small. Let me tell you, everybody wants to be rich until it's time to do what rich people do. Rich people take risks. Rich people invest in themselves. Rich people try, fail, learn, and try again. They know that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. They don't see a loss and say, I'm done. They say, okay, that didn't work. What's next? Because they're focused on the long game, not the short-term hit. If you're always waiting for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. The market won't ever be perfect. Your plan won't ever be perfect. You won't feel 100% ready. But that's not a reason to wait. It's a reason to move. You grow by doing, not just by dreaming. You figure it out by stepping into it. You get better by being in the game, not just watching from the stands. Now, playing it safe isn't just about money. Some folks play it safe with their ideas. They have million-dollar thoughts, but they keep them quiet because they're afraid of being judged. They play small in rooms they were born to lead, just because they don't want to rock the boat. That's a poverty mindset. You don't get rich hiding your light. You get rich by standing up and saying, here's who I am, here's what I do, and I'm not afraid to go all in. This world doesn't reward safety, it rewards boldness. Look around. Every great invention, every world-changing business, every breakthrough, it came from someone who took a risk, someone who got uncomfortable, someone who put something on the line. So why not you? Why not now? I'm telling you, the longer you try to play life safe, the longer you'll stay stuck. Wealth requires action. It requires guts. It requires decisions that stretch your faith. You might not always win, but you will always learn. And what you learn will make you sharper, smarter, and stronger for the next move. That's how rich people think. That's how they grow. So stop waiting for certainty. Stop trying to protect a comfort zone that's keeping you broke. Be willing to bet on yourself. Be willing to step into the unknown. Be willing to look fear in the face and say, I'm doing it anyway. Because on the other side of that decision, that's where your breakthrough lies. That's where your wealth is hiding. And you'll never find it by playing it safe. If you want to be rich, really rich, you've got to start with your mindset. Before the money shows up in your bank account, it's got to show up in your mind. Wealth starts in your thinking. It's not just about working hard, it's about thinking right. Because the truth is, you can have all the talent, all the hustle, all the skills, but if your mind is locked in limitation, your life will stay locked in limitation too. Your mindset is the gateway. Either it opens the door to wealth or it blocks it completely. People walk around thinking money is the problem. But money is neutral. It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't have bias. It doesn't care if you're black, white, old, young, educated, or not. Money flows to those who think like magnets. People who believe they deserve it. People who believe they can attract it. People who treat it like a tool and not a curse. If you believe money is evil, hard to get, or only for a few lucky people, guess what? It'll stay far away from you. You will never attract what you secretly fear or resent. See, your mind is like soil. Whatever you plant in it, it grows. If you plant doubt, fear, lack, and insecurity, your life will produce those things. But if you start planting belief, possibility, gratitude, and confidence, your life will start bearing fruit. That's why rich people don't just have different bank accounts. They have different belief systems. They believe they can create. They believe they can recover from losses. They believe they're worthy of abundance. And that belief shows up in how they move, how they speak, how they decide. You have to understand something. The world is going to throw all kinds of noise at you. It'll tell you to settle. It'll tell you to play it safe. It'll tell you that you're too late or not good enough or not smart enough. But if your mind is strong, you won't absorb that. You'll filter it out and stay focused because you know who you are, and more importantly, you know what you're capable of. Let me ask you this: when an opportunity shows up, what's your first thought? Is it, I can't afford it? Or is it, how can I make this happen? That one question tells me everything I need to know about your mindset. Poor thinking shuts doors. Rich thinking finds keys. It finds angles. It sees possibilities where others only see problems. That's not luck. That's training. That's discipline. That's intentional thinking. Rewiring your mindset isn't easy, especially if you've been around small-minded people your whole life. If you were raised hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees, or we're just not that kind of family, then you've got some mental blocks to break through. But guess what? You can change that story. Just because you were raised in lack doesn't mean you have to live in it. You can reprogram your thinking. You can feed your mind new beliefs. You can start hanging around people who think bigger, reading books that stretch your vision, listening to voices that challenge your comfort zone. It's all possible, but it starts with you. The mind is powerful. Whatever it believes, it makes real. So if you believe you're destined to struggle, you will. But if you believe you're built for more, that this world is abundant, that your gifts are valuable, that your ideas matter, then you'll start attracting opportunities that match that belief. You'll speak differently. You'll walk differently. You'll demand more, and the world responds to that energy. Let me tell you something. Every level of wealth requires a new level of thinking. You can't build $1 million life with $100 mindset. You've got to stretch your imagination, your standards, and your courage. You've got to talk to yourself different. You've got to stop calling yourself broke and start calling yourself blessed. Because if you can shift your mind, you can shift your money. If you can control your thoughts, you can control your outcomes. Your mindset is the gateway. It's either opening the floodgates of abundance or it's keeping them locked shut. So if you want to change your money, change your mind first. Train it, guard it, elevate it, feed it the right fuel. Because once your mind believes in the richness of life and your place in it, there's no limit to how far you can go. The moment your mindset aligns with abundance, wealth doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable.